So what we discussed in the last class, guys. Git. So version control, source code management tool, Git. So source code management tool, which tool we learned? Source code management tool. So source code management tool is nothing but a so the developers, architects, or testers, or operation engineers use that so version control version control system Git, and they can copy their code into the remote repositories. Those repositories are Git, GitHub, Git, GitLab, and Bitbucket, right? Okay, guys, you guys can practice these commands, and you guys can create your own account on GitHub, GitLab, and Bitbucket, guys, and you can practice it. So today we will discuss about the IAM. So what is that, guys? IAM. IAM is nothing but a identity access management. What is that, guys? IAM is nothing but a identity access management. So if you know the user administration, user administration in the Linux, right? We already discussed about the user administrator. So right, how you can connect the server as a normal user, how you can log into the server as a normal user, or as a normal user like Hari, or as a root user, or as a super user like a root. So root having the all the permissions, root user having the all the permissions, right? Because of root user is a super user. So root user is a super user, root you can do anything. The same like as a AWS console also. Same like as a AWS console. I don't want to provide all the administrative access to the users because of a users is nothing but a developers. I don't want to give the all the access to the developers. So who will take the root user access? The operation engineers. Means operation engineers are a, for example, DevOps engineer, DevOps engineer, cloud engineer, cloud engineer will get the root access. A developer, so developers, and DBA, guys. What is DBA? So DBA means database administrators. So who is admin the database, guys? So DBA guys also there. Database administrators also there. They will administrate the database. So cloud engineer will admin the Linux and Windows servers. For example, so Linux servers. Who will maintain that Linux servers? Linux engineers. Because of Linux engineer knows the how to operate the Linux servers, right? How to operate the Linux servers the same way. So for example, you are a Linux engineer. You want to give the only whatever the instances are deployed in the Linux OS, we need to give that only. For example, Linux engineers only want the EC2 instance access. EC2 instance, EC2 service. What is that, guys? It is EC2 service access. Which service access? So Linux engineers only wants a EC2 service access. But the database administrator only wants access to the, so which access, guys? They need only the RDS access, right? RDS service. So RDS service access, and developer only the, for example, EC2 instance access. EC2 instance access. Cloud engineer, DevOps engineer, DevOps engineer. For example, you are running as a EKS and ECS. EKS, what is that? EKS and ECS. ECS, they will provide only an EKS and ECS. For example, the cloud administrator. So cloud engineer is the administrator. They will give the administrator access. Now you understood, guys? So, so, so IAM, why IAM? So why IAM? Everyone cannot access as a root user because of DBA people doesn't know how to access the EC2 and how to access the S3 bucket and all, right? He knows only RDS. So if he doesn't know, he will delete everything, right? Something like he deleted the some bucket or he deleted some instances. So we don't want to. We don't want to give the access to these other services. So our DBA guy only needs access to the RDS services. Our developer needs only EC2 access, and the cloud engineer only EC2 access. DevOps engineer ECS, and the Linux engineers want ECS and S3 bucket access. So we need the S3 service access. So in this IAM, we will provide those accesses. We will provide those accesses. So in the IAM, and the IAM, so what are the options are there? IAM, so we need to create the users, groups. Who are the groups? DBA, DBA people is the group, developer is the group, DevOps engineer is the group, cloud engineer is the group, Linux engineer is the group. So users are like Hari, Ritika, Goravaya, Gautami, Shravanti, these all are the users. Groups, users, groups, policies, policies, policies and roles. So policies and roles. So these are the topics in the IAM. What are the topics, guys? So the same like as a user administration. User administration, you have a users, right? Users and groups and policies. Policies and roles we have attached in the IAM, guys. Attached in the IAM. Guys, now you understood? So what are the attributes and options there in the IAM? So users, groups, policies, and roles. So you can create your own user account and yeah, guys. So normally how you are connecting with AWS, you are connecting with AWS through the console access, right? A username, password. Yeah, I created an identity access, username and password, and I will give it. And same like as a programmatic action also, programmatic access. So for the programmatic access purpose, so they will create the access key and secret key, So what is that? So for the programmatic access purpose, we are creating the access key and secret key, and the normal console access purpose, we will create the console access. So we will create the username and password. So we will create the username and password here. So nowadays the access should be a MFA, right? So what is MFA? Multi-factor authentication. What is that, guys? Multi factor authentication. So what is that, guys? So multi-factor authentication. MFA is nothing but a multi-factor authentication. So multi-factor authentication means so your once you log into the Gmail account, you will get the access token ID, right? Or else it will ask the is it yours? You are logged into the some other browser or not? It is if it is yes, so you will type as a yes. So those are the multi-factor authentication. So multi-factor authentication is nothing but you are accessing the site or two or three passwords, because of someone, if you know the if you they know the your password, username and password, they will access directly, right? But nowadays they are enabling the multi-factor authentication. Nowadays they are enabling the multi-factor authentication. Guys, now you understood? Yeah, thank you, guys. So now I will tell you S3 bucket. 1 second. I will open the document, guys. So Linux material, AWS material, right? Yeah, guys. So the concept is module, third or fourth module, right? Module. Yeah, you see, guys, here. Yeah, so identity and access. This is the deployment and management area. So identity and access management, how you can authenticate with the user or console, administrator interface. This is nothing but a console, management console. How you are connecting daily, right? So we are connecting to through the root user. But what is IAM? IAM is nothing but a to give the specific access to specific service access to the specific people. So that is nothing but a IAM. So that is nothing but a IAM. Guys, now you understood, right? Easy to you understood, right, guys? Please practice. Please practice. Watch the recordings and practice. Yeah, introduction to identity and access management, understanding the IAM console, creating and managing the security groups, creating and managing the users, managing the user passwords and the secret key ID, creating the managing the roles, understanding managing policies, understanding multi-factor authentication and user login process. I already give a high level intro. What is a user, what is a group, what is policies, what is roles, what is a multi-factor authentication, how we can provide the access to the particular group. Now I will show you. Okay. Yeah. So what is a IAM? IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. IAM stands for Identity Access and Management. IAM is a web services. What is that? IAM is a web service. I will show you 1 second. IAM is a web service. IAM is a web services. IAM. You see, guys, IAM is one of the another services. You see, in the services, you can go to the services and you can click the IAM. IAM is one type of service. Manage access to AWS resources. So manage access to AWS resources. Now you understood? So this is the IAM. I am having the user groups, users, roles, policies, right? Yeah. So IAM stands for Identity Access and Management. IAM is a web services that enable you to manage user and group permissions in AWS. Manage users and group permissions in AWS. It is targeted at organizations with multiple users and systems that uses AWS products such as services, guys, EC2 service, RDS service, and AWS Management Console service or S3 service. So why we go for IAM? Why we go for IAM? To avoid a security and logistical headache. What is that, guys? To avoid a security and logistical headache, because of, if you know, everyone knows the access, they can delete, right? There is the possibility to misbehave or delete. So if you give the all the access to the DBA guy will delete the all the EC2 instances. That's the reason, to avoid, why we go for IAM, to avoid a security and logistical headache. When we create an AWS account, it has a permission to do anything and everything with all the resources. So IAM allows you to limit access as needed, gives you with the peace of mind that approved people are accessing the right resources in the desired manner. So right resources in the desired manner. For example, database engineers only the will give the access to the only RDS services. DevOps will give the only EKS and ECS services. Cloud engineer will give only the administrator accesses. Linux engineers will give the only EC2 and S3 services. So developer will give the only EC2 accesses. So developer wants to try to access the RDS, it will shows the permission denied. I will show you. It will shows permission denied, because so to avoid a security and a logistical headache, when you create an AWS account, it has a permission to do anything and everything with all the resources. IAM allows you to limit access as needed, as gives and give you the peace of mind that approved people are accessing the right resources in the desired manner. Resources in the desired manner. Now, guys, now you understood why IAM. So why we go for IAM? IAM will allow to create a multiple users with the individual security. IAM will allow us to create a multiple users with the individual security credentials and permissions. With this IAM, each user is allowed to do only what they need to do. But guys, so we connected with the root user, right? Sign out. Yeah, you see. So sign into the console. So sign into the console. So we have a two types of accesses. So we have a two types of accesses. You see, so one is a root user access and the other one is IAM user access. If you give only one, so if you took the services in the AWS, they will give only one root user access, because of we will manage all the resources from this root access. So we will not provide this access to everyone. So we will provide the access to the IAM user. So IAM user is nothing but a identity access management user within an account that performs daily tasks. Daily task. So I logged in as a root user. I logged in as a root user. Yeah, I logged in as a root user and I have all the permissions. I have all the permission to delete, create everything because of I am a administrator. I am a root user. I don't want to give company having the testers, programmers, operational engineers, DevOps engineers, right? So we don't want to cloud engineers. We don't want to give all the people to a root access. We want to create a user, separate user, and we will give it to that them. So they will access the whatever they want. They will access the whatever they want. Okay, now you understood, right? IAM will allow you to create multiple users with individual security credentials and permissions. With this IAM, each user is allowed to do only what they need to do. For example, you see operational engineer, database engineer, or something like a DevOps engineer. So why we go for IAM? Each user in AWS account have a unique set of credential to access the console. To access the console, right? So what is IAM? Different types of users have different set of permissions. For example, administrators, system operations, developers. So administrator need access to all the resources because of, so administrator is a super user. Administrator can do anything, right? Systems operation engineer and developers, we don't want all the permissions to those people. So EC2, RDS, S3. Developers needs only an access to the Elastic Compute Cloud, means EC2 user. So we don't want to give the RDS and S3. So developers need only EC2 access. How we can provide the EC2 access? So what is IAM? So we can use IAM to create a unique user for each employee and define their permissions. So define their permissions. A daily administrator, Bob, system operation engineer, Dev, developer. So right, these are the peoples we can create our own permissions. So what is a group? Now you understood the user. So we'll give you a separate policies, separate roles to the users. But what is a group? A group is a collection of IAM user. I already told you, right, guys? So what is a group? DevOps engineer is a group, cloud engineer is a group, Linux engineer is a group, DBA is engineer is a group, developer is engineer is a group, tester is a group. The tester contains 5 people, developer group contains for 6 people, RDS contains 8 people, cloud engineers contains 10 people, DevOps engineer contains 3 people, right? So whatever the roles we are providing, whatever the roles and roles and policies provide to this developer DevOps group. So in this DevOps group having a, so something like Hari and Gautami. Hari and Gautami will get the only DevOps engineer access. So for example, cloud engineer. So Goravaya, Shravanti, these people are having the Linux cloud engineers. Cloud engineers having the all the administrator permissions, right? Why we need a group? Group is to assign a set of permissions to the particular group. So whatever the people are there in that group, the policies, whatever we are defining the policies to the group, that policies will allocate to the uh, the the requested group people. A group is a collection of IAM users. After set of permissions in a group, those permissions are set to the all users in that group. So even if we create a user, we need to use groups to set the permissions. We need to manage access to the number of groups instead of the managing access for every individual user, right? So we can create a group, and under the group we can provide the we can set the permissions to the all users in the group. So right, so individual user is difficult. If you create a group and give it permissions and roles and permissions policies to that group, it will allocate to the whatever the groups are, whatever the people are there in that group, it will assign to all the people. So creating a group, so select the IAM console, then you can create the, yeah, so creating a group. So in the groups, you can select the groups and create a group, and so you can create a group. So creating a group, you can use the create a group. You can create the group name, attach the policy. So policy will attach to the group. What is that, guys? Select up select up to 2 policies to attach a group. You can select the 2 policies to attach the group. So what is the policy? Policy I already told you, right, guys? Access, RDS access, EC2 access, administrator access, EC2 access. This is the policies. So do you want administrator access? Do you want a EC2 full access? Do you want a S3 full access? Do you want a EKS full access, ECS full access, RDS full access? Policy is nothing but a access to the service. Access to the service. Guys, now you understood? Yeah, group created with the, so AWS admin support group, something like a group created with the policies. So we can change the group name also. We can attach the policies, remove the policies, attach the policies, delete the group. So add user to the group. So we can add it in the group also. I will show you guys. No worries. Real time I will show you. Right. These are the, so we created the users and we added to the users, the group. So creating a user. So user have created successfully. This is the last time user security credentials will be available and then downloaded. So the access key and secret key, I will tell you no worries. We can delete the user, manage the user, modify the user, remove the user, everything. So we can set it. Everything we can set. Managing the access keys. Managing the access keys, we can create the, so use access keys to make secure rest or query protocol request to the AWS Service API. For example, in the developer, they need access to the AWS. How you can in the development code, so we can use the access key and secret key. So we can create the access key and secret key. Yeah, user password settings, so understanding the roles. So create a new role, a role, sysadmin role. In this role, so we can select the services. We can select the services and attach the policies. And attach the policies and attach it to the group also. Attach it to the group also. Guys, understood? So multi-factor authentication. So what is a multi-factor authentication? Multi-factor authentication or MFA. MFA provides additional security by requiring users to use a password and an authentication code from the external device. MFA is especially recommended for the AWS root accounts and account with administrator permissions, since they have access all your resources. Because of you, they know the username and password. If you are not enabling a MFA, they will easily access the resources. So guys, understood? So this is a IAM. So this is IAM. I will show you. And 1 second. Yeah, guys. So you can go to the IAM. So once go to the IAM. Yeah, right. So let's check the users. Let's check the groups. Yeah. So there is no groups and there is no users. So first you want to create a user. So how many users you want to create? Username. So for example, Hari. Provide the user access to the AWS console. Yes, I want to create the console. So specify user identity center recommended, or I want to create a IAM user. Yes, I want to create a IAM user. So in the IAM user, you can provide the auto-generated password or a custom password. I am using the custom password. I'm using the custom password. Right. So I used the custom password. User must create a new password the next sign in. I don't want. Okay. Next. Never. Yeah. So add a user to the group. Still not yet created, right? Next. So review and create. So review and create a user. Just. So user is created and the console password, right? So this is the, so this is the console URL. This is the console URL. So in window, no, incognito window. So you see, guys. Yeah, you see, you sign in as a IAM user only. So account ID already created. So account ID already created. So while creating the user. 90, this is the ID of the IDM console. This is the ID of the IDM account ID for the double digit. The username is, what is the username, guys? Hari is the username. So what is the password? I said the password. Let's check. You see, guys, so it is showing access denied, access denied. Let's try to connect to the EC2 instance. Yeah, EC2 instance. So error show is saying, right? So elastic IPs, load balancer, snapshots, auto scaling instances. So instances also it's showing error because of I'm not providing any access to the, I'm not providing any access to the, you see, you are not authorized to perform this operation, user. So Hari is not authorized to perform EC2 instances status. Guys, now you understood? Yeah. Now I want to give the permissions. Now I want to give the permissions. So something like a return to the users list. I don't want to. Yeah. So I am the user. I'm giving the policy. I'm giving the a policy. Attach the policy. Click Hari. You see, guys, here. So permissions. Add permissions. Generate a policy based on the cloud trail event and permissions boundary and add permissions. You see, add permissions. So add permissions, groups. Yeah, I'm not any group. Security credentials. So this is the, so this is the sub security credential, guys. You want to create a multi-factor authentication, or you want to create a access key secret key, or you want to create a public SSH key, or HTTP Git credentials, Git credentials. This is the security credentials, right, guys? So permissions, add permissions. So attach policies. You see, attach. If you want to add a group, if you are adding to any group, that group having the policy, right? So I'm not adding to the any policies. I'm just attaching the policy. I'm not adding to the any group. I am just attaching the policies. So what is that? Administrative access or a EC2 full access. What is that, guys? EC2 full access. Yeah, Amazon EC2 full access or uh, S3 full access. You see S3 full access, RDS, RDS full access, RDS full access. You see, so I am giving the administrator or a EC2 full access. I'm giving the I'm attaching the policy. What is the policy? Amazon EC2 full access. Amazon EC2 service, he will get the full access, or he will get the full access. Okay. Yeah. So permissions added. So which policy added? Amazon EC2 full access. Amazon EC2 full access. Yeah. So now click the EC2. Yeah, is check EC2 Docker instances. So you see, so now you will able to access the EC2 instances. Now you can try to access the S3 bucket. So create a bucket. Yeah, you see, you don't have a permission to list the buckets. So I want to go to IAM. IAM, identity access and user management. You see, access denied because of, so Hari user having only the access of EC2. He will access only the EC2 access. So apart from this, he will not do any operations. He will not do any operations. Guys, now you understood? Yeah, I'm deleting this permission. Remove the policy. Yeah, remove the policy. I'm creating a group. A group, call it as a DevOps or developer group. So in the group, I want to attach this group to the Hari. Okay, and the policies. What is the policy I want to attach? I want to attach Amazon EC2, EC2 full access, and S3 full access. So you attached the two policies. You can attach up to 10 policies to this group. So what is the default behavior, guys? You can attach 10 policy to the user group. All the users in this group will have permission to that defined in the selected policies. Okay, so create a group. You see, guys, developer group is created. In the developer group having how many users? So Hari user has. So you can create a other user, call it as a Gautami user. So what is that, guys? Gautami user. I want to create a console and the password. Enter the custom password. So I'm giving just red hat at the rate 123. I'm giving the password red hat at the rate 123. So then next, yeah. So you want to add the user to this group? Yeah, developer group. I want to add. Next, create a return to the users list. Continue. Right, Hari Gautami created. So how many users are created? We created two users, and these users are attached to the which group, guys? Developer group. So whatever the developer have access, whatever the developer having the permissions, those permissions will get in the these users. So these users. Right, now you understood policies. So roles. So you can create a role, AWS service role for support, AWS service role for trusted advisor. An IAM role is an identity. You can create that as specific permissions with credentials that are valid for a shorter duration. Role can be assumed by the entities that you trust. So for example, so AWS service or AWS account, AWS web identity or a custom trusted policy, just AWS service. So allows services like EC2, Lambda, other perform actions on this, right? Yeah, AWS account allows entities in the AWS accounts belonging to you a third party performance actions. So web identity allows users to federated by the a specified external web identity provider by the Zoom, this role can perform, right? Custom trust policy or SAML tuple, so AWS. So what is the use case? Use case is EC2, use case is ETC service, and S3, yeah. So EC2, S3, yeah, you can attach the policies. So you can attach the policies from thing like administrative access. Next, the role name is DevOps or read only. What is that, guys? Read only. I'm giving that read only access to the people. Create a role. Guys, now you understand? So read only role. The permissions are administrative access, the trusted relationships, tags, advisors, revoke sessions. So the permissions are administrative access, administrative access, permissions, and policies we attached. Guys, understood? So this is nothing but a, yeah. So, and we can create the access key and secret key for the users. So for example, developer user or a Terraform user or whatever the users, I want to create a access key and secret key for developer access. So go to the security and credentials, and you can create, if you want to enable MFA, you can enable here. You want to create the access key and secret key. Use access keys to send programmatic calls to the AWS from the AWS CLI. AWS tools for PowerShell, AWS DKs, direct AWS API calls. You can have a maximum of two access keys active. So what are those, guys? Access key and secret key. No access keys are the best practice to avoid using the long-term credentials like access keys instead of using tools. So every time you can create an access key and you can, so guys, so access key and secret key for the command line or a local code or application running on the AWS compute service, third party service, and application running outside AWS and others. So for example, I'm creating the application running on the AWS compute service or a local local development environment, or something like a data infrastructure, the others. For example, I'm creating for the AWS CLI. So understood. So next, tag value, I'm not giving any tag value. Done. Continue. Yeah, you see, so that access key and secret key will created. You can download this access key and secret key and we can use for the programmatic access. So for example, I want to connect with the EC2 instance and RDS. So for that purpose, we can create a user and you can create a access key and secret key, and you can use that access key secret key to connect from the application servers to database servers. Database servers. So guys, now you understood the IAM policies. You guys are understood, right? Yes. So the next concept is file, save, desktop, AWS, Linux, I think 16th, right? IAM, yes, guys. So what is the next service, guys? The service is S3. What is the service, guys? S3. What is S3, guys? S3. S3 is nothing but a simple storage service. Guys, now you understood. So what is S3? S3 means triple S. What is this triple S? So yes, simple storage service. So what is a simple storage service, guys? For example, your Google Drive. For example, your Google Drive, OneDrive. You know, right, guys? Google Drive, OneDrive. So for example, so this is your storage. This is our a storage bucket. So what it is, guys? It is a storage bucket. Here we call it as a bucket. What is it, guys? Bucket. The same like as a Google Drive and the OneDrive. So the same like as a. So this is a Google Drive. So this is a OneDrive. OneDrive. So this is also a storage a solution, guys. So what it is? It is a storage solution. So this is also a storage solution. So by default, how much they will give, guys? The Google Drive. So 15 GB they will give you as a free, right? They will by default 15 GB as a free. So OneDrive, Microsoft, guys. So Microsoft company created OneDrive. So Microsoft also giving the 15 GB of a 15 GB of a free space, free storage. The same like as AWS created the storage name, call it as a S3 bucket. S3 simple S3 bucket. The name call it as a S3 bucket. Right. So why we need S3 bucket? This is a storage solution. So right, for example, so this is your application. What this is? This is your application. For example, so this is a app server, this is a DB server. So this is a app server and this is a DB server. App server and this is the a DB server. App server and DB server. So app server, right? Your AWS EC2 instance, something like a 8 GB. You created 8 GB instance, and this is something like a 20 GB or 100 GB. This is a database, guys. For this database, you how much you want, you can use it. So we need a connectivity between these guys. How you can connect? So we can connect by using the password authentication, access key and secret key, we can use it. Okay. So your application is deployed in this app server, right? Yeah. So I want to create a application log. I want to write the application log. So app logs. So app logs, right? So app logs, why we need app logs? For example, Facebook a website. So in the Facebook website, so something like people from login to log out. So what are the operations? What are the operations he they performed? They performed. Need to write it. Need to write it under the logs. So what are the logs, guys? The logs is called nothing but a app logs, right? So it has only 8 GB of space, right? I want to store the logs. So I want to store the logs. So in the data center environment, you can create another server, and that server contains a 1000 TB or 2 TB 2 TB space, and he create the app logs here. The name mount point kind is at app logs, and attach it to this server. So whatever the app logs created, right, it will write it under this space. But so 2 TB, right? So initially it took 10 GB, 5 GB, 4 GB, but we are paying the money for the 2 TB, right? So we don't want to pay money for the entire 2 TB. This is the assumption for that it will sustain for the 6 months. So here bucket. So whenever you used the whatever the space, that space only you can pay the money. So right. So in the AWS, or any cloud, in the AWS or any cloud, you can create the same setup. Can create the same setup and so you can create the same setup, and you can attach you can attach the so you can attach the logs to the S3 bucket. You can create a one bucket, and you can store the logs to the S3 bucket. So S3 bucket, it is cheaper than this data center because of, so something like today, the logs write 5 GB only. You copied it in the S3 bucket, so they will charge for only 5 GB. Tomorrow 10 GB, day after tomorrow 15 GB. So whenever you add the space, right? So you store the space, you store the data, right? That storage only they can pay the money, and it is a elastic. So you up to petabytes of data you can store it. Up to petabytes of data you will store it. Guys, now you understood the storage. So what are the attributes, what are the options are in the bucket? The first one is the object. What is that, guys? Objects. Objects. You want to store anything is like a object. Objects and versions and replication replication, website, static website hosting, and so replication, versions, object, static website hosting, and life cycle. So life cycle management. What is that, guys? Life cycle management. So what it is, what is object? So if you are storing anything, a file or a video or a document or whatever, it may treat as an object. So what is versions? So what is replications? What is static website hosting? What is life cycle management? So versions is nothing but in your computer. For example, this is your computer. You are creating a file, call it as a hurry.txt. So you are trying to create as the same file as a hurry.txt. Hurry.txt. Is it allow or it will not allow? So it is showing something like already a file name is exist, right? But this hurry.txt having different data. This hurry.txt having a different data. But you are trying to create a same name, it will not accept. But it will accept here with the unique ID. So that is nothing but a versioning, right? It will enable the versioning concept, and it will enable the unique ID for the every object, and you can create number of files with the same name. But the difference is the version ID. So replication. So replication is nothing but a this storage bucket also connected to the data center, right? This storage bucket also connect to the data center. For example, Hyderabad region data center. So we have a floods, heavy rains, this data center goes gone. So our data will gone, right? I don't want to store data in one place. I want to store the data in the other place also. So we can use the replication. So replication is nothing but a, so whatever the data you are storing here, right? It automatically store it to the, it automatically you enable the replication. It automatically store it to the another region. For example, this is in the uh, North Virginia region. So North Virginia region, and this is the Hyderabad region. Hyderabad region, right? If something goes wrong on the here, definitely there will be a copy in the North Virginia. There will be a copy in the North Virginia. This is nothing but a replication. Static website hosting. So what is static website and dynamic website? I already told you, right? Static website is nothing but a just a pages. So just a pages. It will not involve the, so involve the DB and storage, right? DB and storage. Just your application will be hosted in the S3 bucket also. Lifecycle management. So for example, guys, so the bank, so your application is a web application. Your website is, what is the website, guys? Citibank, for example. Citibank. So Citibank, Access Bank, Andhra Bank, or whatever it may be, guys. So you are retrieving your transactions, right? So transactions, for example, last 1 month and last 6 months, and last 1 year, last 1 year, last 2 years. Last 2 years and last 5 years. So how frequently you are getting your transaction history. So every time, for example, the people are getting frequently the people are getting, so last 1 month or last 6 months or at least last 1 year. So the last 2 years, last 5 years, right? So infrequently they are getting the transactions, right? So they are getting the transactions frequently. So below 1 year, after 1 year, so or yearly once or yearly twice or yearly thrice, they are getting the transaction, right? So we don't want the storage classes here. It will allow the storage classes, the IO options, so input output operations. So you want to get the frequent access or something like within seconds, or you want to get at least so one last 2 years, right? So you are asking about once a while or once it or twice a while, right? So we are storing the data. Then so after 5 years you are not getting this data, right? I want to delete this data. Otherwise the storing will be very high. So I want to delete the last 5 years data. So I can set the life cycle management rule. So for first 1 year, first 6 months, so first 2 years, we will get to the this storage. Finally, it will delete automatically. It will delete automatically. So this is nothing but a life cycle management, a static websiting, replications, versions, and objects. So tomorrow I will show you these S3 bucket. So tomorrow in the sense Monday, and I will show you the VPC, virtual private cloud, is nothing but a networking. So we connected the server like 192.168.56.103, right? We don't know what is this IP address. So what is this? We don't know, right? So this is the IP address. So where we are discussing these IP addresses, classes, and networking. So how they are taking, how we are creating a facebook.com. We'll show it on the VPC. We'll show it on the VPC, and so we will conclude the AWS and Linux, guys. Guys, now you understood? It's a very simple, guys. There is no much difference between a cloud and the data center. So what are the operations we are did in the data center? The same operations we are also doing in this console, cloud, any cloud, but they created a specific service or a specific name, and so we can use that services. It's a predefined environment. So then console, AWS console also connected to the finally data centers, and we want to get the servers in the data centers only. Now you understood, guys? So there is no much difference between a data center and the a cloud console. Guys, got you? Yeah. So we'll continue from Monday, guys. Okay. I uploaded the yesterday's recording, guys. You guys can go through it. So and, I will upload this recording also. And so this weekend, I will upload all the documents in the GitHub account also, guys. You guys already created the GitHub account, right? So created your own GitHub accounts or not, guys? GitLab, GitHub, Bitbucket, and GitHub. We don't know, right? If you got a job, they are using only the Bitbucket. You already know the Bitbucket. So you can sign up your sign up your account on the all three remote repositories: GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket. So if you want, you guys can go through it, the any YouTube recordings, how GitLab is operating, how Bitbucket is operating, how GitHub is operating. Okay. Now you got the basic clarity about the Git and remote repository, source control, source code management tool, Git, and the remote repositories. So if you guys want to explore more, you guys can check in any YouTube videos or any documents or something like a website. You will get the more exposure on the Git, guys. Guys, understood? Thank you so much. So we'll continue from Monday. So most probably we will conclude Monday. Otherwise, we will conclude on the Tuesdays. Okay.